For nations like Iran or other groups that have radical ideologies that Iran sponsors, why is it that Israel and the United States specifically seem to be at the center of their crosshairs? Take a look at this clip over here with Elica Le Bon talking to Officer Tatum, to Brandon Tatum on his show. They talk a lot about these particular matters and delve into what's really the core of their hatred of the US and Israel. So we'll watch this clip together and then talk about it. But first, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Check this out.
It's really important to see all of these things as connected. And since October 7th, this is exactly what I've been trying to show people. So let's just start with the Islamic Republic that's in Iran now. Okay, so this regime comes to power in 1979 through a revolution. And once this regime is established, it tells us that its foundational doctrine is to America, to Israel, and a desire to expand and export its revolution out to the rest of the world. So the entire world would be under something that's called, well, either a caliphate or an emirate. So this is it's another way of saying that the whole world would submit to Muslim rule. So in furtherance of it's something that's called Velayat Faqih. The Islamic Republic system is called Velayat Faqih. So in trying to export that out to the Middle East and the rest of the world, they engaged these proxies like Hamas, like Hezbollah in Lebanon, like Houthis in Yemen, right? And one of the main things that they need to achieve before they can establish this domination is the eradication of Israel, because Israel is the one Jewish state that disrupts the Islamic hegemony in the region, right? How are you gonna bring this entire Islamic region where you have this tiny Jewish state? That's a huge problem. So, and just like they say to the United States, because that's a huge problem to expand to the West, right? So their entire objective has been to destroy this Jewish state. That's why they created Hezbollah right on the border of Israel in Lebanon, and they have Hamas in Gaza right on the other border, right? And then you have the Houthis in Yemen, and they're all firing at Israel. And so because the Western world has no idea who the Islamic Republic are and what their objective is, they look at this war in Gaza, which is obviously devastating, it's obviously horrible, so many innocent lives lost, but they don't understand why this is happening. They don't understand that Hamas is intentionally burying itself in civilian populations. They don't understand that this is a war that's very existential, not just for Israel, but for the Middle East and the world. The people in Iran are against the regime. Statistically, the overwhelming people, more than 81%, 85% of Iranians are against the regime, and they've been protesting and fighting for freedom for years. For some reason, nobody has anything to say about that, because of course, you know, it's Islamophobic to criticize a regime that's hanging them from cranes. Like, what century are we in? What century are we in that every single day Iranians are being hanged for dissent? This is medieval torture. They're shooting out their eyes. They're being raped. It's so insane that anybody just has nothing to say about that, but they have so much to say about everything else. So there's two different interests when you talk about the US involvement. There's obviously the interests of the US and the Western world, which is to erase this nuclear threat, right? From a regime that's constantly saying to America and to Israel. And from that perspective, Israel has been fighting America's war for a long time by acting as a buffer against all these Islamist jihadist groups, right? Because once Israel's down, obviously America's next. And so I think, you know, in terms of the US's best interest, it's obviously in the best interest of the US to contain that nuclear threat, hands down. And anybody who says otherwise, I mean, at this point, it's just suicidal. In terms of the Iranian interest, because they want to get rid of this regime, their hope, obviously nobody wants war, nobody likes war, it's scary, it's dangerous. But what they hope is that the regime would be so weakened by all of these strikes that they can topple the regime themselves and have, you know, a democratic government in its place. when I started speaking up about this on October 7th, you know, I'm such a sort of nuanced and detail oriented person. I'm not the person that jumps in to say, like, oh, racism, this. And so a lot of Jews kept saying to me, this is all about anti-Semitism. And I was like, I'm sure it's not all about anti-Semitism, you know, but the more I dug and dug and dug, I was turning over every single rock, every single stone. And then by 6-7 months in, I was like, oh my God, this is really just all anti-Semitism. And when you look at the patterns throughout history, where we are right now is so scary because it mimics exactly every pattern in history before the worst case scenario. It's the same thing that happened in Nazi Germany. You had this regime that was like, everything is, you know, the fault of the Jews, everything is the fault of the Jews. And then people rallied behind this regime and it ended up being in World War II. And so now you're seeing a very, very similar trend where we have, you know, the social justice warriors and the humanitarians of our time being so anti-Israel that they're now linking arms with terrorists and jihadists and extremists because they're freedom fighters that are resisting the Jews. And so what we're seeing is exactly what's always happened in all of history. You are now allying with the worst humans on earth because you're so anti-Semitic at this point, and you think that that's why they say it's first the Saturday people, then the Sunday people, right? Because what you do is that you bring these jihadists in by saying, you know, they're freedom fighters, resistance, whatever, and then yeah, they kill the Jews, and guess what? They're going to kill you next too, because they don't care about Christians either, and they don't care about any other religion. So what my primary fear of anti-Semitism is, yes, number one, it is a death cult that seeks to kill Jews, but it's also a death cult that kills us all next. And this is exactly what wokeness has turned into, which is why I call it inclusive terrorism.
Always a well-spoken argument. And so the point I think that's important to bring out, there actually is a few, but some of the important points to bring out from this discussion is why the centrality of Israel and the United States, that Iran and other groups like it call Israel the small Satan in America, the great Satan. The reason is because when you have an ideology that wishes to usurp all of the countries in which it comes into, it wants to become the domineering worldview in the world. The ones that stand in the way the most would be Israel and the United States. Israel, it disrupts the hegemony of the Arab world in the Middle East, right? You have this one Jewish area, this one Jewish state amongst other Arab nations. Not that other Arab nations are particularly fond of Iran and its ideology, but Israel is like the biggest thorn in its side in spreading its worldview. And the United States, when it comes to the West, is the dominant power. When you think of the West, that is something that is represented and championed by and headed by the United States. And so if you take America down, then you take the entire West down as well. And so that's why Israel is the small Satan, America is the great Satan. But this also should be an indicator to people that think that this is some problem that is on the far reaches of the ocean, something that's happening in another country, far away. It's happening to another group of people. It's a Jewish problem. It's an Israeli problem, whatever you want to say. This is not the way that they think, though. They're perfectly happy to have you think that right now because you're just sort of being a useful idiot. But the real goal is, like Elica Le Bon said over here, after the Saturday people comes the Sunday people. After we deal with the Jews and dispose of the Jews in the way that we want to, after that is accomplished, then we go to the Sunday people. It's Christians' turn to feel the wrath of this world domineering ideology. I do have to say that I was a bit disappointed that when the war was going on directly between Israel and Iran, and then America stepped in and eradicated the nuclear capabilities for the next good while, that the Iranian people didn't raise up at the same time. Now, I know that things could very well still be brewing. I've heard rumors and different things being talked about by various people, but we haven't seen as of yet the Iranian regime fall. And until that comes, not that I want boots on the ground, not that America or Israel should be involved in some long, drawn-out process, but do want that regime to be changed organically and have the people of Iran rise up and reclaim their country and their proud culture that they really should have back. I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens. But if you like this content overall, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Take care.